to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the War Room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back once again into Sunday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I am flying solo today. My co-host, old Eli, he got caught up with some, his wife said they had some other engagements, some prior engagements that he needed to be there for. So that's fine. No, family first. Family's the way it is. I thought I was going to get the Cajun Cowboy on today, but you know him. He works all the time. And, we've got a pretty interesting topic, kind of a main topic coming up later on today, which might be, I don't think it's really controversial for those guys, but it might be controversial for some. So we'll get to that here shortly, but I'm going to give them both a hard time saying that they probably did not. They refused to come on the podcast because of that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Like I said, I'm doing this live. So if you were tuning in live, it is just me, a one-man show, and you'll see that I'm running my computer. I'm running the TV. I'm running the board. I'm running it all. So help me out, man. Help me out with some content. I don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of. So make sure that you go ahead and comment. And when I see your comments, I'll go ahead and respond to them. Your comments will help keep this show going today, hopefully. Or it's going to be kind of a short and boring show. That's that's the way I'm looking at it. So I always like to start stuff off kind of with some of the local news, some of my news, some of my business news, right? The Patriot Defense news. And I always keep you guys updated on the classes that we previously had. And we just had a permit class yesterday. For the Idaho Enhanced Permit, like I usually do. I do one of those once a month. And we had about 16, 15, I don't know. So we'll say 16 people there. We had 16 people there. The class went smooth. The weather worked out really nice. Very little wind. Lots of good shooters. Couple of brand new shooters, and we kind of worked with them, and they got to shoot a variety of things from, they brought like an ultra Smith & Wesson ultralight revolver, chambered in .38 special, and kudos to that shooter. I don't know if she's listening, but she did fantastic. She was real nervous and real new. And I don't know if you ever shot one of those little air weight revolvers, but those things they can just beat you up. They just beat you up. And, I don't even like shooting them really. But she pretty much shot that the entire time. I know my buddy James, he helps me on the range. Him and Eli were here, and she was down on James's end, and James was helping her. And I think it got her to shoot the Smith & Wesson, is it CXS, CSX, whatever that is, their little 9mm that they have. And I think she enjoyed that, but she was really wanting to shoot her revolver. So she did the majority of the class with that revolver, and she was a little beat up and a little wore out after 100 rounds of .38 special out of that air weight. And I don't blame her. So as I'm talking here, I'm noticing, I've got my computer screen right here. I've got everything wired up to my TV so I can bigger screen. I'm old, right? I'm old. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on things here. And then I got the camera right in front of me, which I think I'm looking at right now. I don't know if I am, because if I look up, then I look up. And so it looks like I'm looking up because I'm looking at the computer screen. I'm trying to see what's going on. I'm trying to see who has joined us in this conversation. So yeah, I'm just kind of everywhere today. Sorry about that. It is what it is, man. I'm not getting paid those, well, actually, let's say this. I refused the Joe Rogan money. I refused the Joe Rogan Spotify deal because I felt like I needed to stay humble and do this myself and not be swayed or, by big sponsorship money. And I wanted to say what I want. Who am I kidding? I didn't get, I'll never get a Joe Rogan Spotify deal, but there you go. We'll just act like I did. We'll just act like I did. And I was humble enough to turn it down and do this for you. Do this for the people. That's do this for my listeners, my subscribers. So yeah, once again, we are streaming live to to Facebook, and we are streaming live to our YouTube channel. That's the Patriot Defense on both those. You can find those. Look them up. If you haven't, check it out. Subscribe. Click the follow button. Click the alert button. All that good stuff. You can even find us over on Instagram, and I am even on the TikTok. Haven't posted anything over there for quite a while. Those videos actually take a lot more work than what you think. So I'm not that creative. My creativity has since ran out. And so I haven't done any more for videos for a while, but I am up there. If you want to follow, it's a good way to keep track of me. For those local who might be interested in taking a permit class, my next permit class is going to be next month on March 18th. I can get you signed up for that as well. You can catch me on social media. You can check my post about that and get a hold of me there. So I also wanted to show off, I do some women shooting groups, and I do these men shooting groups, and we've had them over here this last week, and they stood there and dry fired for an hour. That's what they did. And it's very, very, very important, right? To dry fire and work on those fundamentals. And it's something that a lot of people, I talk about it all the time, but a lot of people, they just don't do on their own. So it was dark outside. It was cold. The time hasn't changed yet, so we can't get out on the range. So they did nothing but dry fire for almost an hour, all of them. We worked on the dry fire. We worked on the firearms presentation with the right grip and the dry fire. And then what we did is we made sure they were gripping this thing correctly. And then we worked on the dry fire as well, but we combined it with, and those who are watching this can kind of see me, we combined it with keeping the gun level out at the chest and pushing out, right? But then we added finger to the trigger, push out, press the trigger, time it. So as soon as you get out there and you get your sights aligned and acquire your target picture, you are ready to then break the shot, break that trigger. And so we worked on that neurosynchronicity, that neurosyncing, that timing. And they all did pretty good. Their dry fire's coming right along. So by the time we get out on the range here in a few weeks, it should be pretty good. But one of the ladies, there's a lot of women in my advanced class. This is their 3rd or 4th year doing this. She brought me a gift. And I really kind of like this little guy here, this gift. And I think I'm using it as the podcast mascot. It's this little gnome holding this little rifle. Freaking love it. I love this thing. So it sits here on my desk now. It's, once again, it is the podcast mascot. So I do appreciate that. If she listens to this, thank you, Chris. I do appreciate that. So, okay, let's talk about the new gun that I have posted all over social media about, the one that I've been waiting on for quite a while. I mention it every single podcast, and I'm sorry, but I'm really stoked about this gun, and I'm actually really stoked about it a lot now that I've actually had a chance to put probably almost 100 rounds through it. And it's that P30, the HK P30 that I got. I ordered it through Langdon Tactical. They did a bunch of trigger work, and that thing is sweet. If you ever get a chance to either purchase or shoot a gun that's come out of Langdon Tactical, and they've done a bunch of trigger work on it, man, do it. You will not regret it. And that P30 is a thing of beauty. That's all it is. It's a thing of beauty. It's comfortable in the hand. I mean, it's just little. It's not real little, but it's round. It's just nice. It's like driving a little Porsche out on the range. I mean, the thing runs, and it runs well. So pretty happy with it. I haven't had any problems with it. No malfunctions, no nothing. I mean, the thing, it'll hammer rounds into the hole the size of a 50-cent piece, like no problem, all day long. Great. I got my red dot to my Holosun mounted up to it and got that thing dialed in, and it is just a blast to shoot. So expect more reports of that the more time I get to get out and shoot it. And in between classes, in between working on the range, sometimes that's few and far between those moments are, but we try to get it figured out. But let's talk about something else. So a few years back, I got partnered up, is what they call it, partnered up with the USCCA, and that stands for the United States Concealed Carry Association. Now, this group, this association, they do some good work, right? They offer concealed carry insurance, is what it is, concealed carry insurance, and they offer it. You got to purchase it. It is an insurance, and there is a handful of places out there that do offer this insurance. But they offer this, and I partnered with them, right? And the deal was when I partnered with them, I'm not bad talking them because I think it's fantastic insurance. And if you can afford it and if you want it, look into them. They have a great magazine. I mean, the guys I've dealt with over there have been fantastic. They used to come into my class and they used to help, sell. I used to give them like 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was they needed in my permit classes. And they would try to sell their insurance. Right. And try to get customers and clients that way. And fantastic. They did a good job with that. But, as times get tight and stuff happens, I realized that, I don't feel like I want to push all that on to my students. Now, I will definitely recommend them as insurance. I will tell you about them and everything, but I am no longer going to allow them into my classrooms and try to sell you guys some insurance. I just don't feel like opening the door while you're here. When you're here, we should be here learning and just having a barrage of people come in trying to sell you all kinds of stuff. You're there to learn, and I really don't want to do that to you. So I have since kind of separated from them. They're still very good insurance, and like I said, I do recommend them. I just don't really want them in my classroom anymore. So my USCCA guy, if he sees this, it's nothing against you. I just didn't want you in my classroom. I mean, you guys do good work. One of the things they do, though, that I didn't really care for, I will say this, is they kind of went the way of the NRA, where they're kind of offering, training, right? That you can go online, you can watch videos, and granted, they're just small videos, but they're offering this training like to their members, and that's like it's a bit stepping on toes, right? I mean, I have these students. I've paid for my insurance. I've paid for advertising costs. I have the range. I upkeep the range, all this stuff. And then I have them come, my students come and take these classes from me. Right. And then that's the goal. That's what I do is I hold training classes. I train people, safety classes, permit classes, you name it. Well, you're going to come in and sell them the insurance, and then during my class, you're going to tell them about all this training that you offer. I just don't feel that that's right, and that's not kind of what I want done. That's kind of like stepping on my toes. And the NRA did something like that too with their carry guard and their instructors that they had, and they started stepping on all their customers, all their instructors' toes, and just kind of cutting into their stuff. And it's not a cool thing to do, I didn't think. Now, granted, I could go and become a USCCA certified instructor. And honestly, I'm an NRA certified instructor too. And that's just kind of garbage, to be honest with you. Now I have to keep up that certification so I can teach my permit class and do all that good stuff. And some people ask about it. They like to know that I am NRA certified. But the USCCA wanted me to become USCCA certified as well. And I just didn't think that was what I needed to do. I don't necessarily want to go and get some other certification. And so they can tell me how to teach my classes. I don't want to do that. And then their thing was, you can go and you'll be able to teach our classes. And then we will send the people that watch our videos, we will send them back to you. Well, what if I don't do that? Well, you don't have to become a certified instructor. Well, I don't. But then where are you going to send these people that you've just taken from me and showed me your videos? Who are they going to go to? Well, they're going to go to USCCA certified instructor. And if you're not one of those, we're not sending them back to you. So I'm doing all the work. You're kind of stealing you're stealing my students, right? You're stealing my people, the ones that I've worked hard for to get. I don't know, man. It just seems to me like some kind of weird firearms academy, firearms instruction, illegal pyramid. That's kind of what it seems to me like. So, they got good insurance. I'll give them that. And they put out one hell of a magazine. I mean, I enjoy the magazine I get every month, and I do like the insurance. And if their insurance is for you and you feel like getting it, by all means, go get that insurance. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like their methods of going about and getting kind of like preying on my students. I'm not, and then trying to prey on me. I just don't like that. That's not what I want to do. I gotta wet my palate here. And that, my friend, is not professional. That is why I don't have that Joe Rogan contract. That's why, I guess. Yeah, there you go. I like that, Josh, because it is a training pyramid system. It definitely is, and they kind of wanted me to be involved. It kind of felt like I was, part of Amway, honestly. So, but like I said, I will say this: they do have good insurance. I'm not knocking their insurance. If you got their insurance, great, you're being prepared, and that's not a bad thing. I've heard great stories about their insurance, but they went a little too far. They went a little too far, and they were trying to bite the hand that feeds them a little bit. And I don't really like that. So, okay. So like I said, I don't know how long this podcast is going to be because it's just me, and I expected a little more interaction with some co-hosts. So by all means, thanks for commenting, Josh. Go ahead and keep it up. This next topic, like the main topic of the show today, is something that might be a little controversial. And people may not like where I stand on it. But here's what I'm going to start with. I don't consider myself Republican. I don't consider myself Democrat. Now, we might go a little political on this show and even get away from talking about firearms just a little bit. I consider myself libertarian. And if you don't know what that is, look it up, right? I don't believe in a right, and I don't believe in a left. The right have done me, the Republicans have done me just as bad and just as wrong as the people on the left. I think they're all, I think if Eli was here, he explained it once, and a lot of people have said this once, they're different wings of the same bird. That's all they are. So I'm all about libertarian. I'm all about freedoms. And what I'm doing, as long as it doesn't affect anyone else or bother anyone else or cost anyone else money, I should be able to do what I want to do. And the same should be for you. You should be able to do exactly what you want to do. As long as it doesn't cost me money or anyone else money, right? It doesn't affect anyone else. You should be good to go. So one of the things that is happening in states all around us, right, is they are, the states, not federally. They have tried to do it federally or talked about it, but a lot of these states are legalizing marijuana, the use of marijuana, right? They're doing it. Some of them are just doing it medically. Some of them are doing it just, you can have a certain amount on you and you can use it. They are legalizing, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, right? Now I'm going to say, if you use marijuana, that is fine, man. You do you. I am fine with that. I personally do not. There's a few times I wouldn't mind to use it, for the medicinal purposes of it. I am a runner, and I wouldn't mind some different things with THC in it. I think it would, help me heal. It helped me recover, that kind of stuff. I have looked into that stuff. I unfortunately live in a state that does not allow that. In fact, my state of Idaho got really upset when a couple of years ago or last year, I don't remember. They got really upset when someone shipped a truckload of hemp, no THC, hemp, the fibrous material, shipped hemp through the state. There was a huge lawsuit with that, all kinds. It was a freaking mess, right? And we had all the people on the right, and they were saying, these Republicans, we can't have that, we can't have that. These are the old Republicans, the old grand old party, the old GOP people, right? And they're just so against it. And everyone went against this hemp. Now we actually have some hemp producers in the state, which is kind of crazy, right? You still can't smoke it. You still can't use it medicinally, anything like that. But we do have the hemp portion of it. They're trying it out here in the state. There was an article that came out, and this is why I'm talking about this, right? There's an article that came out of Oklahoma, and I am sorry, I do not have everything in front of me right now because I got my computers and stuff running. Well, I'll try to look it up on my phone here. Just bear with me. Let me pull it up. I did save some links here. By the way, my phone, I think, is connected to my computer. So if someone texts me or something, you're gonna hear it, and I apologize ahead of time. Let me look here. Says ban on marijuana users owning guns is unconstitutional. Judge ruled. A federal judge in Oklahoma has ruled that a federal law prohibiting people who use marijuana from owning firearms is unconstitutional. The latest challenge to firearms regulations after the conservative-dominated U.S. Supreme Court set new standards for reviewing gun laws. And I'm not going to bore you with the entire article. I think I actually posted the article on Facebook, and you can go find it, and you can check it out on our Facebook page. But I think that is a step in the right direction. I honestly do. And I don't know how you feel, right? I look at it like this, like, I can I mean, I don't even drink. I mean, I think I drank for the first. Well, I did. I know I drank for the first time last year. I mean, I've maybe had like 4 beers. Like that's it, right? I'm 47 years old. Like, I'm changing a little bit. Things are changing, but it is what it is. I've never done drugs. I've never done marijuana, nothing like that. But here we go. So I agree with this. I agree that you look at alcohol, and when I have my permit class, the law enforcement officer comes in, and then I don't know how it is in your state, but in the state of Idaho, if they can prove, like, you can still drink, right? You can drink. They've got restrictions and limits on drinking, right? And you can't drive drunk, and you can't do this, and you can't whatever. And when it comes to firearms, when it comes to carrying a firearm on your person, if you are carrying a gun and they can prove that you've even had a sip of alcohol, there's no limit that you have to hit, but they can prove that you've had a sip of it, you're in trouble. Like, you can't have that firearm on you. You just can't. So without exploring like too deeply the ins and outs, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that would have to be figured out. Why can't we treat marijuana? Why can't we treat that like alcohol? Right? I don't understand that. Why can't we treat it like alcohol? And if you're in a state, and I wish Idaho would catch up with this, but if you live in a state where you can legally have, there you go, marijuana is no worse than alcohol. Yep. That's kind of, I mean, I don't partake of it. I probably would if it was legal, right? To a certain extent, at least the medicinal part of it. But I mean, I don't know. So I'm just taking your word, Josh, but that's kind of the consensus of when I talk to people. But if you live in a state where it's legal, right? The federal law says you still can't buy a firearm. You can't have firearms because federal law says it is still illegal to have marijuana, right? It's a drug. Like it's still federally regulated. You can't have it. You're not allowed. And even if you live in a state where it is legal and your state says that drug is legal and you use it legally, the feds say you can't purchase a firearm. You can't have guns. And I honestly think that needs to be changed. I think there is something that actually has been introduced into federal level. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's a whole new thing for me to follow besides firearms, and I have not done that yet. But it has been introduced to try to say, hey, no, that is a constitutional right. Right now, should there be limits? Well, yeah. I mean, so you look at alcohol. Now, I don't know how these would play out, but like, look at alcohol here. If they can prove you've had a sip, you can still carry out and about, right? Why can't we legalize it and allow it and still have those same limitations? Honestly, why can't we? Right? I think the thing that really is the states that will come out, because you got people that are so dead set against marijuana and drugs being legal. And I'm just talking marijuana. We're not going to get into the hard, nasty stuff. We're just talking about marijuana right now. But I know people that left states where it was allowed and they left that state and said, oh man, it just destroyed the crime and everything. It just destroyed that state. I think that's because you got some government intervention and control in there. I think you need to look at that. But like I said, that's a whole nother topic. And, Josh, he jumps on here and he says, the new 4473 asks if you're an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or other controlled substance. Yep, I've seen that. And it says, if legal in your state, are you an unlawful user? Well, according to the feds, it doesn't matter. The feds don't care. And I get it. I don't think it's right. The feds don't care. The federally, that says it's illegal. Federally, it says it's illegal. So if you answer truthfully, you're probably not going to get your firearm. They're not going to let you have it. And I think there's actually, I did come up with an article where there is some people that are legally using it because they can in the state, and they answered that question correctly. Yes, I do use it, but it's legal in the state that I'm in, and they were denied a firearm. And I believe there is actually a lawsuit right now going against them, going against the federal government or whoever, saying, hey, I answered this, it's illegal where I'm at, and there's this lawsuit. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And here I'm talking, and people are going to go, man, Todd, we know where you used to go to church, and we know you, and this is absolutely crazy that you're even bringing this up. Well, there's so many medicinal benefits to using it, and different things that you can use it for. And I just think, hey, look, times are changing, and this needs to change. I mean, I've seen people get just crazy, crazy drunk, go out and drive and kill a bunch of people. I've seen people get crazy, crazy drunk and go and beat their spouse or beat their girlfriend or whatever it is, right? I just don't know that you see that with marijuana. Maybe someone can jump on the comments and correct me, but I just don't think that is necessarily a thing. But hey, you know what? If it's legalized, you could probably figure out how to regulate it just a little bit. Okay. I mean, I think it's funny because I got some local guys here, some local people I know that are so against it, and they're so dyed in the wool GOP. And everyone can have their own opinions, right? But they're so dyed in the wool GOP that when they think of marijuana, they're thinking of Cheech and Chong, right? They're thinking of what they consider stoners. They're thinking of guys that are driving around in some little VW bus and are just stoned all day long. That are just smoking the stuff all day long. That's what they see, and that's they can't get it out of their minds that there could be anything different other than that out there. And I think people would be really surprised, especially the people that are against it, that I think they're even in states that don't allow it. Even in the state of Idaho, I guarantee you there is people every day that go to work, that are successful, that are a part of the community that we see every day, whether it be the weatherman, the person on the news, the mayor, the whoever, right? Whoever that probably use marijuana on a daily basis, and you're around it every day, but they're functioning part of society, and they're not on their drain. They're not living in a cardboard box on the street. They're a functioning part of society, and they're successful, and people don't know it. And I just think that this old marijuana's bad attitude just finally needs to leave. And I would imagine sooner or later it's going to become legal in Idaho. I think you're seeing it. So there you go. So, and it's Josh, man, I thought about this episode, Joshua, I've thought about this episode all week and kind of how I wanted to attack this. And I thought I was going to have some co-hosts here to help, bounce stuff off of. So I really appreciate your involvement today because you're keeping me on track. Joshua says it's nowhere near as bad as some prescription meds you get from a doc that's being pushed by Big Pharma every day. And honestly, I think that's a huge part of it. I think that's why you don't see it legal in a lot of states. Because I don't think you see it legal in a lot of states because I think it fixes a lot of things as long as it's not being abused, right? It fixes a lot of things, and you got Big Pharma, and you got them giving money in this pocket over here and money in this pocket over there. I think that there is a lot of opiates and stuff like that are actually prescribed to people that people are on all the time that are probably way more addictive and cause a lot more harm, and a person should not be handling a firearm when they have those and when they're using those, but yet they still do. And I think that's, I think we need to remember that. We need to take that into consideration. And I think there's a lot more people around every day that just keep it to themselves. It's not a big deal. They use it for medicinal purposes. And guess what? They're not a stoner in the VW bus that everyone thinks that they are, right? I think I think it's time to change, honestly. And here we go. We're gonna get more political now, right? But I think it's obviously time to change. Should we legalize all drugs? No, I don't think we should legalize. Sorry, my phone was making some noise over there. I don't think we should legalize all drugs. I don't necessarily think that we should do that. But I'm okay with pot. I'm okay with marijuana. With some restrictions. I'm good with that. I think it's time to change. And I think what's going to kill states like Idaho is we've got, they'll tell you, like, I vote libertarian, and I kind of got yelled at on my radio show the other day when I said we need to vote for, you don't have to vote for an R. You don't have to vote for a D. Well, if you're in Idaho, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to vote for a. Well, you could still vote the way you want. And I think people need to quit thinking that way. And granted, you can't vote in the primaries, right? Unless you're a registered Republican. But yeah, I still vote for the guy that I want. I still vote for the libertarian when I can. And I exercise my right whenever I can. And I think everyone needs to do that because probably 99% of the time, that guy that's got the R by his name, the guy that looks so good when he's running for his spot, right? And you're going out to vote for them. They aren't who they say they are, right? They're either a rhino or they change overnight. As soon as they get elected, they change. And I think that's going to be the death of, I don't know about other states, but I'm going to talk about the death of Idaho, right? Everyone just vote Republican. So here we are. We have this state where there is a bunch of retired people that live here. And that's fine. The retired people live everywhere. But we got people who are leaving California. I'm not picking on California, but just hear me out, right? They are able to come to Idaho from California where they've worked their whole life. They're able to sell their property there. They're able to come up here and they're able to retire, right? And these are older people that, maybe 70s, maybe 80s, like late 60s. And they have this mom and dad, they voted Republican, I vote Republican, and that's what's going to save everything. Oh, that's not what's going to save everything. You can't tell me that the people on the left don't see that and go, all we got to do is put some plants over there and put an R by their name. So when they get voted in, they can do whatever it is they want. They can be this rhino. I guarantee you that happens. And we need to wake up and we need to look at it. And I'm talking to everyone out here, and especially in Idaho, right? All the ranchers, all the this, all the that. We got to vote Republican. We got to vote for that guy that's running. He's running as a libertarian, and he's got like a gauged ear. Well, that's not horrible anymore. I'll be honest with you. That is not horrible anymore. That's the new wave. That's the new thing. That's what's coming. Like, you're going to be dead soon, and we're going to have some kind of leaders, right? Let's look at that. That might be the new thing, right? And we need to break it. If it's broken and we need to fix it, right? And it's not this two-party mold anymore. It's just not. Josh. Idaho politics are a shining example of the problem with the two-party system. We keep voting in the R's. They keep cashing the check. They won't change anything, and nothing will get better. If the state Republicans wanted to make huge changes, they can. They have the numbers and the votes, but they won't. And they know that they're going to keep getting voted in because of all the retirees, all the old ranchers that have been, voting Republican for the last 40 years. That's just, they know that they're in. A Republican, guess what? He picks up a chainsaw, he puts on a cowboy hat, he sits on a horse, he holds a gun. Guess what? He gets votes. He gets votes, and it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You tell them that you're going to, not take down the dams, and which is an important thing, right? I'm not saying we need to tear up everything, because I'm definitely not a Democrat. But they say the right things, they get voted in, and then they do whatever the hell they want to do. And I hear it all the time I see it online. I hear news reports locally, and it's blah, blah, blah. It's the same bull crap all the time, and shit never gets better. Stuff never changes, and it is time for it to change. And I know I just keep rambling, and we've gotten away from firearms and into politics, but I mean, honestly, this happens. This affects firearms, and I think that we need to get this changed. I think that if you can legally use marijuana, right, in the state that you are living in, I think you should still be able to legally own firearms. And I think that someone needs to go in on the federal level and allow that. And here's the thing. I'm not saying all the states need to go ahead and legalize this stuff. Guess what? I'm all for states' rights. If you don't like it, you can move to a different state. But I think it needs to be fixed on the federal level especially. And they need to allow that, just like alcohol, man, just like alcohol. If I'm known to have a couple beers every weekend, guess what? I can still go buy a firearm. I can still go do this stuff. And if I live in a state where if federally they allow this stuff, and I live in a state that still won't do what I want it to do, guess what? I'm just going to move out. I'm just going to go move to a state that will allow me to do whatever it is that is important to me. But it needs to be changed on the federal level so people can do that, right? People can do that. Go to somewhere that allows you to do whatever it is you want to do. Joshua says, speaking of states legalizing marijuana, why can't Idaho vote to ignore the NFA? If states ignore the Fed on drugs, why won't Idaho politicians ignore that? Well, you got to think about this. Look at all the money they get, right? We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. This turning into more of a local show, and I do apologize for this, but locally we got these big wind farms going in, these big wind turbine things going in, and it took our governor forever to say anything about it. Well, I guarantee he's getting money. He's getting money for this, right? He kept us on lockdown from COVID for how long? And why was it? Because he got money. These people are paid for. They'll tell you one thing. Yeah, we'll sign this thing. We'll sign this thing that says we'll step in and we'll ignore the federal government when it comes to gun laws, and we'll do this. They can sign all they want. But when the rubber meets the road, are they really going to stand up? I don't think so. I think in our state, they're just going to take the money and run. It doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they can to take that federal money. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They want that federal money. There was a gun bill that went through last year. That said, right, they wanted all these states to institute these like red flag laws. And if you do this, and I'm not saying Idaho has done this, but if you do this, we will give you money to do so. And I guarantee you that there's a bunch of states that jumped on that, right? They're luring them in with federal money. And once you take federal money and you are on the hook for that, and you get used to that money for whatever it might be, your schools, your infrastructure, your whatever, and you start denying the feds, you start giving them the middle finger saying, we're not going to follow your crappy laws, then they shut that money off, right? They threaten you. You got used to it. We're not going to give you the money. There's strings attached to absolutely everything. That's what you've got to understand. And I think it's just all a big money game. And I mean, it always is, but I think federally, when it comes to allowing legal marijuana users, right? Legal users of marijuana. And I think they need to allow them federally to still have their firearms. They still need their rights. They still need their Second Amendment rights. I really do. And hopefully Idaho will jump on the bandwagon, and they will go ahead and legalize some of the stuff, because it's all around us. It's all around us. And if you look around, go, man, Idaho, we don't want any part of that. We don't want any part of that. Like, nobody's doing that. They are doing it. They're going and getting it, and they're doing it here. And how many people are laying around on the streets, sleeping in boxes? There's so many people doing this stuff here that you are around every day that you would never know, and they're still a productive part of society. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So, interesting topic. Like I said, I do appreciate, if you guys got any more questions or got any more comments, by all means, throw them up here, and I'll take them. Other than that, I might actually shut the show down here shortly. I talked a lot, right? Imagine another person in here talking with me, and then this would have been like a longer show, right? A longer show if you got two people talking. Nathaniel says, I live in Oregon, and I am just flabbergasted about how many pot shops now saturate the area. Well, yeah, I mean, because it's legalized there. And Oregon's a whole different story. Like, I understand the marijuana, and I understand the pot. I understand all that stuff. I don't necessarily understand legalizing a bunch of these hard, like nasty, drugs and chemicals and all this stuff. So it's one of those things. My soul still believes that people do have choices, and they should be able to do what they want to do. But to actually go in and legalize all drugs, here's the problem. From my libertarian standpoint, I'm not speaking for everyone else. From my libertarian standpoint, as far as legalizing all drugs, if you want to go in and legalize all drugs, right, then you have to be prepared to step over somebody that's cracked out of their mind on the street and keep right on a walking, and not feel bad, and not want to take them up and put them into rehab and use taxpayers' dollars to fix that, right? You have to be able to do that. We're not ready for that yet. We're not ready for that. And I'm, like I said, I've never used a drug in my life unless it was prescribed to me by my doctor. And so you may think, if you're just new and you're just tuning this in, oh, this guy's he loves his drugs. He loves it. I don't. I've never used any. Like I said, in fact, I had my first two drinks of alcohol like last year. That's it. What was last year? I'm 47 years old. I'm like new to all this, and it's not like I'm looking forward to running and doing a bunch of drugs, because I don't think I will. But I could use, some of the good medicinal type stuff. I'm a runner. I've got problems with my legs and my knees and my feet and my ankles and everything else. And this stuff helps with that. And I look forward to possibly someday being able to use that stuff for these benefits. Now, I can't do that right now. Some people might say, well, you can go buy this, you can go buy that, you can get it, just bring it. I can't do that here. Why can't I do that here? Well, first of all, it's illegal. Second of all, guess what? I am a firearms instructor. If you haven't figured that out, I am a firearms instructor, and I get caught with that stuff. Not good. Not good for me. Maybe I'm on some list now, but if I get caught with that stuff, it's no good for me. I lose my livelihood, right? I lose my concealed carry permit. I can't own firearms. It's just a big mess. So here I am, just waiting. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I just don't know. So, but there you go. I think that's going to be the show for today. Again, I appreciate everyone commenting. And I tell you what, go ahead and we are going to have a call-in show one of these days. As long as I can get some people here, we're going to have it to where instead of commenting, you can do that as well. But you can also call in the show. I want to kind of, like I said, I want to kind of base it off like a radio show. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So if you like this, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. If you want to share this podcast on your social media page, that would be absolutely fantastic. It's the only way we're going to grow. Just share. I've been doing the podcast for quite a while now. I did sit down and actually do some figuring the other day, and I've actually been a firearms instructor, and I've owned Patriot Defense now for 10 years. And I am across a big milestone for me. 10 years, man. 10 years I've been doing this. 3 or 4 years I've been doing it full time. The beginning part of it was just kind of a side gig I do in the evenings and on the weekends. I'm fortunate enough to have a very supportive wife, and I'm able to do it full time now. Said I'm not making millions. I doubt I could afford any of this stuff we were talking about, even if it was legalized in the state. But so there you go. I am the longest running firearms instructor in the Magic Valley. And if you're not from around here, the Magic Valley is the area of Idaho that I live in. So I'm pretty proud of that fact. I keep getting students coming back all the time, post up a class. I get a bunch of people out here, and that's what I need. I couldn't do it without the citizens of the people that live in the Magic Valley. So I do appreciate that. Share it on social media. If you ever got a comment, you ever got a question, you want to get a hold of me and just say hi, you can call me. You can text me, area code 620-794-6223. It's area code 620-794-6223. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on the Facebook, the YouTube. You can even find me on the TikTok. And I do have a Patreon, and I'll leave the link down below. It's a little stagnant. It's been wintertime. I need to get more stuff on there. We've got a handful. I'm not going to say, I got 50 people on there. I think I got like 4 or 5 people on Patreon, right? It is what it is. But if you guys like what you hear, you like what you see, and you wanted to throw a little support my way, $5 a month, man. $5 a month on the Patreon. The link's down there. You get some videos, you get some this, you get some that. I'd love to have a lot more interaction over there. That would be fantastic. But worst case scenario, if you can't afford that, I know freaking eggs are like $9 a dozen now or some bull crap. But if you can't do that, I tell you what, just share this on social media. Share it on social media. I would definitely appreciate it. My family would appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be back this Wednesday with hopefully Eli. And maybe we'll pick up the conversation again when he's here. I'd really like to get Eli's opinion on it. Unfortunately, he had some family stuff come up and he could not make it. So we'll grab him on Wednesday. Maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe we'll talk about something else. I don't know. You're just going to have to tune in. Now, that won't be in video form, but you're going to have to find us on Spotify. You're going to have to find us on Stitcher. You have to download the audio version of the podcast, and you can check it out there. I appreciate it, guys. Everyone have a great Sunday evening. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all the involvement, all the interaction. That was absolutely fantastic. I don't know that I could have talked that long without seeing your comments and using them to kind of spur me along, guide me, and keep me on track. So we'll see you guys for the live version next weekend. Bye.